Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri from BiancoLand, and today I'm going to do a quick BiancoLand fruit tree tour here. Let's just start off with my citrus here on the patio, so I apologize for all this mess. Yeah, we're in the middle of building out, the shop here, 4-car garage with the YouTube studio in the top. But anyways, on the left here we have, this is my lime tree. So in this blue pot, it's really pretty. This tree's done amazing. It has no fruit this year, but it's growing like a weed, which is awesome. In the middle is my beloved car orange, which basically died after some struggles with it. So citrus has been a real struggle for me. But it's growing from the rootstock now, so I believe it's a navel of some sorts. It's got a lot of flowers this year. It's got a few larger oranges kind of growing on the thing. And then finally here on the right, we have this small lime tree, or lemon tree. This is the lemon. It has some curled leaves, a little bit of a struggle. I'm not sure what's wrong with it, but it does have quite a few lemons on it. And then, which we'll get to in a second, this is a peach tree, but it died where it was at due to the clay doing some root rot, some damage on it. The tree itself died, but it regrew from the roots. Okay, and this is my Methley Plum tree. It's done fairly well. The leaves on it turn like a yellow in the fall. Believe some watering issues or perhaps some fertilization issues I've had. And then these are some new additions. So I had 2 olive trees here before. This, I believe, one of these is a Yali. So this tree and the next one is a Yali, and one is a Tsu Li Asian Pear. You can see up here, we've got some fruit that's coming in. These are fairly large trees. I just bought them from J&T Nursery, which is my favorite place to buy stuff. I believe this one says $79.95 on it, so pretty good deal. I maybe paid $100 for the larger one. Here's the dead olive trees. All right, this is my 3-in-1 Asian pear tree. It is looking great. It has some fruit. You can see it's got some new leaves that are a light color. I'm a little worried it doesn't have as many leaves as I would like. But let's just give you kind of a rundown here. This far left one, this is a 20th century Asian pear. This middle branch here, this big one, is a Chojuro Asian pear. And then this far right one that's doing really well is a Shinseiki. And that leads us over here. So just to give you kind of a look, this is my, I guess, 4th Asian pear tree here. This is a Shinseiki itself. It does have some fruit. It's got some great leaves. Great buds here, a ladybug up in the top. This tree's doing really, really well on its own. It's got the nice dark green color, new leaf growth, and quite a bit of fruit. And then back over to here, we just purchased this for $69.95 here. So this isn't a sales pitch, but this is a Fuyu or a Jiro Persimmon. It's doing okay. It looks like we are having, if you look up here, some growth at the end. Some new growth up here. These are new as well. Smaller tree, just purchased it, I don't know, maybe a month ago or a few weeks ago, somewhere around there. I'm really excited to have a persimmon tree. Again, I eat them occasionally, but nothing exciting. I've never grown one. If you're looking for trees, fruit trees in Dallas, Texas, they're actually fairly tolerant of clay from what I've read, so this would be a good addition to any spot. You can see here too, it's a little kind of like muddy and flooded. This is where that peach tree sat before it died of root rot. Okay, and this tree I'm really hoping takes off. I got this last year. This is an Artic babe. So it's a miniature nectarine tree. It's supposed to get, I think, 4 or 5 feet. So, maybe, I don't know, up to here, maybe a little higher. But it's already about halfway or a little more than halfway in size. It's got some new leaves you can tell on the top, which is great. Nectarine and peaches I have a struggle with just because of the clay soil we've got. And I won't go through the garden here. We've got blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and a bunch of other stuff growing. And this here is my Gala Apple tree. It had this weird branch growing like straight out the side, so this bottom one here. But the tree is growing like a weed. I fertilized it too late in the season. We had a freeze here in Dallas. I don't know, about a week long. People lost power. It's on national news. But this tree, even though it grew late and it has a lot of growth on it, it just keeps cooking along. It's doing great. Again, it's got quite a few flowers and things earlier in the season. I don't see any actual fruit on the tree, but it is growing great. Like, I'm just happy that it's getting thicker and larger, meaning it will be healthier in the long run. And then that leads us to this tree. So I'll kind of zoom in a little bit here. You can see it's got quite a bit of fruit on it, these little nubs. This is a Jujubi tree. They go little spikes underneath, which I don't know if you can see any on this tree. They're really small. But this tree I thought died. It grew a bunch of fruit last year. I picked the fruit way too late. One of my Chinese colleagues was telling me I picked it too late. I didn't know. So it turned all brown, and it was still okay, and it's decent dried, but it is a lot better fresh. It's kind of like a miniature apple. They're pretty fibrous, and they're juicy and kind of sweet. I like them fresh. They're okay dried, but not my favorite. But this tree is doing pretty well on its own. And then this is my all-time favorite tree out of all the trees I have. I planted this kind of out of respect for my grandma. This is a apricot tree. This is a Blenheim, or also known as a royal apricot. It absolutely loves where it's sitting, which I don't know why, but you can see here, if we zoom in a little bit, the tops of this tree turn orange as it puts on this new growth. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but basically from down here all the way up to here is new growth within the last few months, probably about the last month and a half, 2 months. This tree though consistently turns orange on top as new growth gets pushed out. It turns green for a few weeks, and then it just continues to run. This year we didn't end up with any fruit, which I'm not too concerned about. But this tree is just growing and growing and growing, and I hope we get it fairly large so that it actually will put out some good solid fruit here coming up in the future, the next few years at least. And then that leads us to my mating partner here for my Gala Apple. This is a Fuji Apple. It is really tall and spindly here. I don't believe this one has any fruit on it as well, but it is growing fairly well. It wasn't doing great when I first got it, but you can see again we have some new growth in here. Again, it's just doing okay. I'm a small fan of the Fuji Apple. I think it's decent. It's not my favorite though as much as the Gala, but it's doable, and if it gets me a better yield on that Gala tree, that's all that really matters. And next we have a Nectarine tree. I don't remember exactly which type of Nectarine this is. I definitely need to trim off, you know, these shoots and things down here. But this tree has fruit on it, and the fruit is fairly large. This is the largest I've ever gotten of Nectarine. We've only had it, I believe, about a year. It had a top that went up quite a ways. I trimmed that off as it died and didn't come back with leaves. As you can see, a lot of these don't have leaves as well. But the tree is doing fairly good. Again, the peaches seem to be a struggle for me. The nectarines here, I'm just fingers crossed that this tree makes it and gives me some fruit. It probably has, to be honest with you, too much fruit on it for the size that it is, and I might take some of these smaller ones off and hope we get a few big ones. But this is the nectarine tree that we have. And then finally here, so this is not a fruit tree, but it is a nut tree. This is a Choctaw Pecan. It basically died at the nursery, and then it came back to life there, so they sold it to me, said it looked like it was still healthy. This is a Choctaw, and I've got one more Choctaw on the front, which I'll show you real quick. But I have two of these, and that's kind of the wrap up here of the fruit trees. Let's just run around real quick and see if we can get to that last Choctaw. All right, and then to wrap up the tour here, this is my last pecan, that's again a Choctaw. It is doing great growth on the left here, a little sparse on the right side. It's being held up by bamboo. Again, I got this last year. It's kind of just growing in. So anyways, thanks for watching. And as always, until next time.